We're back from taking a few days off with one episode right before we take a few more days off.
It's the weekend.
Hopefully there isn't too much to catch up on, and oh my goodness, not great. But I guess we should start with the big news out of Rome on Thursday.
Oh, shit!
The smoke is white.
Yeah.
The time is right. The Catholics have a new pope, and he's American? He's from Chicago? Well, that's bizarre. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. As you know, the previous pope, Francis, survived months of serious illness before immediately dying upon meeting J.D. Vance a few weeks back. Francis's more open and liberal approach to Catholicism, all, of course, relatively speaking, and the backlash to it from conservative Catholics meant that selecting his replacement was going to be a little bit tricky. Would the new pope represent a continuation of Francis's more modern views or a regression towards tradition? And could this new pope perhaps be the first ever non-white pope to better reflect the church's global presence?
Well, it looks like it's a no on all of those.
No.
Before the conclave began, there were some Filipinos and Africans being touted as potential popes. But after 4 top secret raw dog sessions, as it was explained on the news.
The one thing we know they're not doing is checking Instagram because their devices have all been confiscated.
I believe the kids call it raw dogging it.
Inside that conclave, Cardinal Robert Prevost came out the winner. And he may be white, but he still represents a milestone as the first pope to come out of the U.S., specifically Chicago, though he spent the past decade down in Peru. And as for what he's all about, it's not super clear at the moment. He's made statements that seem at odds with Francis on LGBTQ rights, but many of those statements are also so old that it is entirely possible he feels differently now. We'll have a clearer idea about him soon enough, but here's New York Magazine with some early clues.
The new pope took the name of Leo XIV, which could be an indication of the legacy he hopes to leave. It's a pretty clear shout-out to Leo XIII, the late 19th century pontiff, whose encyclicals laid out a template for a distinctively Catholic social justice doctrine that opened the church to more active participation in democratic politics and governance and efforts to improve conditions for workers. His elevation to the highest levels of the church hierarchy occurred entirely under Francis, who made him Bishop of Chiclayo in northern Peru.
Did he go there because it was a close enough name to Chicago?
Chiclayo.
Yeah, hell, this works.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Don't have to change too much of my merchandise. Francis lifted him to his current position in the Roman Curia just a little over 2 years ago. The very conservative College of Cardinals report suggested that Leo XIV can be expected to pursue the same agenda of softening church practices towards previously excluded believers for which Francis was known, though Leo may pursue this goal in a less confrontational way.
On key topics, Cardinal Prevost said little, but some of his positions are known. He is reportedly very close to Francis's vision regarding the environment, outreach to the poor and migrants, and meeting people where they are. He said last year, the bishop is not supposed to be a little prince sitting in his kingdom. He supported Pope Francis's change in pastoral practice to allow divorced and civilly remarried Catholics to receive Holy Communion. And Prevost appears somewhat less favorable to currying favor with the LGBTQ lobby than Francis, but he showed mild support for Fiducia Supplicans, Francis's encyclical opening the door to blessings of same-sex unions. And it's worth noting that while he may be the first American pope, he spent only a third of his life in the U.S., and unlike your average American, he is fluent in Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Latin, and German. So it's all sounding pretty okay so far. But, this being the Catholic Church, it does appear that he may not have a perfect record when it comes to properly dealing with sexual abuse that occurred under his watch. Now, to be clear, though, Francis wasn't all that great on this topic either, though he did at least evolve on it in the right direction and respond to public pressure. So a lot of people, they're hoping that this new guy will use his powers for good on this.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Kind of a really dark stain on this church's legacy and public perception.
Yeah, and an ongoing one as well.
Can't really sweep it under the rug.
No.
Probably best to deal with it properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, for now, all we really know is for sure is that the Pope is an American man from Chicago. And that provided a great prompt for many funny but also low-effort posts. And there were, of course, posts about deep dish pizza and malort being served at communion as the new body and blood of Christ. The Pope declaring once and for all that it's pop, not soda.
Okay.
Lots and lots of references to the classic SNL Da Bears sketches. And for the younger crowd, some references to the show Da Bear.
Yeah.
But here's some of the more clever ones.
Smart play for the Vatican to go with an American Pope to avoid tariffs.
Gonna start saying, is the Pope from Chicago? When someone asks me an obvious question.
Is the Pope from Chicago?
Yes, he is.
Pope Leo XIV is the first Pope to know exactly what Dave Matthews did on August 8th, 2004. And he will not let that go.
Yeah, Dave Matthews, you are banned from the Vatican.
Mm-hmm. And banned from heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know what you gotta do. A couple Hail Marys at
And
least.
it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than for Dave Matthews to get into heaven.
Yeah, it is easier for 50,000 gallons of piss and shit to...
50,000 gallons is a lot. I'm not sure it was that much.
It might have been.
Yeah. He's probably eaten more hot dogs than all previous 266 popes combined.
100%. Mm-hmm. New Pope. Crowd goes wild. American Pope. Crowd boos. Woke for an American. Crowd goes wild. Bad at protecting abusive priests. Crowd boos. Hates J.D. Vance. Crowd goes wild.
It's been an emotional roller coaster. And it is the perfect segue right there for checking in on how American conservatives are handling the news. I know we have gotten the pleasure of seeing them collectively lose their minds about a DEI pope, but anything short of literally installing Donald Trump as pope, something Trump himself posted about recently with the help of AI, of course, nothing was going to satisfy them. And worse than that, turns out the new pope has only posted or reposted on X 5 times this year. You're going to have to pump up those numbers. Elon's going to be very upset. Mm-hmm. 3 of those posts, by the way, were other people being very critical of J.D. Vance, particularly on immigration. So, hey, woke pope it is.
Woke Pope.
We got a woke pope. Laura Loomer is already very upset. Yeah. And posting through it. So, yeah, here's some examples of chronically online prominent and semi-prominent Republicans just not handling this very well at all.
And here comes Laura Loomer with woke Marxist Pope.
Woke Marxist Pope. Dun, 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 at the woke Marxist Pope.
I'm gonna keep on poping down because I'm the woke Marxist Pope. Yep. That's from what's her name?
Chapel Roan.
Chapel Roan.
Elliot, finger on the pulse.
I know she's got that Hot to Pope song.
Yep.
So.
Mm-hmm. Here's Mike Cernovich. Sorry, Catholics. This new pope is an open borders globalist. He'll be pushing for abortion soon. This isn't a guess. You can scroll his X account and see what he's been up to.
This is so funny because it's literally like he has not personally posted anything about J.D. Vance. He simply posted articles about J.D. Vance saying shit that was like blatantly at odds with Catholic doctrine while claiming it is very Catholic for him to say that. Literally other people saying that, and this guy just hitting the retweet button or sharing the article. And like everything else is just like the typical Catholic shit of like, be nice to each other. How dare he?
He's got those Twitter fingers, and now he's woke.
Here's Joey Manorino. So the new Pope has recently attacked J.D. Vance and shown solidarity with Kilmar Abrego Garcia and begged Trump to open the borders like Biden had them. This guy's worse than Francis. Didn't do any of those things, by the way.
It's all misinformation. Yes, complete fabrication.
Not something that happened, sorry.
Here's Jack Prilosek. God save the church. Also, as people pointed out, going back to the Leo the 14th, 13th, it was pointed out that the first Pope Leo, he's the one that pushed back against Attila the Hun. So if you want to draw parallels against Donald Trump, that's how people are doing it.
Well, you could also interpret that to be like he's anti-immigration. I don't know. You can interpret things a lot of fucking ways.
Yeah.
It's very funny that they like, they do this every year for the Super Bowl, and they only get like once every decade or so with the Pope, but it's the Republican knee-jerk reaction of just like, it's woke. It's woke.
It's done. They made the Pope sexy, and I can't handle it anymore.
Anyway, welcome to the world, Pope Leo the 14th.
It has been a fun reaction because everyone, in general, out of all the popes, it's like, okay, this is a pretty good pope, and he's Chicago guy. That's going to be fun.
Yeah,
but then
fun for the memes.
Everyone realized over the course of a couple hours that the Pope, surprisingly, has a very deeply held Christian and Catholic beliefs.
Yeah, that seems to be the root problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, they're like, I love everything else about him. The Catholicism, though, is where I draw the line.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Would I have tossed back a Malort with him? Sure.
Yeah,
But I had a big old hot dog with all the trimmings? Sure.
he loves the beef. Mm-hmm. He loves the Wilco album, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. He's a real Chicago guy.
Yeah.
This Pope here.
It's the Midwest emo Pope. But let's move on now from the Pope news and look at some of the dumb bullshit that Trump got up to while we were gone. And there was a lot of it.
Too much.
The tariff situation that's about to hit U.S. store shelves like a bomb obviously has not been resolved, despite Trump touting a very, very underwhelming trade deal with the UK on Thursday that keeps most of the tariffs in place.
He was hyping this shit up so heavy.
Yeah, also
A very big, very important nation has come to the table. I think you're going to like it. And it's just like...
the UK, you mean the country that also like self-isolated
Yeah.
from its friends and neighbors to the detriment of itself? We're partnering with them. And for what? So Boeing can get its engines cheaper?
It's also funny because, like, the U.S. and the U.K., like, if we're talking in terms of trade deficits, which aren't a fucking, like, thing that matters, but the U.S. and U.K. basically sell the same shit to each other.
Yeah. It's a pointless deal. It's not even a deal because the tariff level is still triple what it was before Trump took office. So Trump is just sitting around coming up with new things to tariff. It's his most favorite activity.
Yeah, the old ones, they're not getting resolved so quickly. So how about some new tariffs?
Yeah, there's not enough buzz anymore. We gotta
Yeah.
get some more. Here's Trump on Sunday. The movie industry in America is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas within the USA are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. It is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I am authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again.
Okay, so if you know anything about how movies are made, this is a pretty baffling idea. And it's very unclear how it would even work. So, I mean, yes, a lot of movies do film outside the U.S., but what about movies that only film partially outside the U.S.? What about the entire rest of the production pipeline? I mean, big budget movies use a mix of VFX and post-production teams from around the world.
Yeah.
Does doing literally any production or post-production outside the U.S. lead to a 100% tariff, the same as a movie that's shot and edited entirely outside the U.S.?
You've put more thought into it than the president did.
I have. I've had multiple poops, not just the one poop, to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
So how does this affect projects that are in production right now? Because kind of fucks things up quite a bit.
Or
I
are
think.
done and gonna be released, yeah.
Also, is this something that he can even do? Can he legally impose tariffs on entertainment? From what I've seen, the answer is no. There's
Well-
like specific carve-outs for it, but also like he's showing once again that the rules don't matter. You can just say it. and
I don't
do
think
it.
he can impose tariffs in the legal traditional sense on anything without congressional
Well, he's
support.
using. I mean, like
Because he's using the
he's
old
using a
acts.
paper thin justification, and the paper is extra thin when it comes to like media and information technology.
Yeah.
Also, how would you even apply tariffs on what is primarily a digital, not physical medium? Tariff duties are laid at the ports.
Yeah. The
How's
Ethernet
that
ports.
gonna- yeah.
The Ethernet ports.
There's going to be a little tariff thing that
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
has
yeah.
to put on their computers.
You have to tap your phone and it sends a Bitcoin to it or whatever.
Also, movies and TV is something that the U.S. has pretty much always run a pretty large trade surplus on. We export a lot more of it than we import. So what's even the point of this? This is like the one industry we're still fucking killing it at.
Yeah, as far as like worldwide stuff. Yes, it would be
in terms
great
of like
if,
dominance. We're like
Yeah.
we're not making fucking anything that the entire world is using except for movies and television.
Yeah.
So, also, you might want to sit down for this part, but one genre of film and TV media that would absolutely 100% be subjected to these tariffs if they go into effect would, of course, be anime.
Oh,
Something that at least some Trump fans very much enjoy and make their profile pictures when they're calling you slurs on the internet.
mm-hmm.
So,
They're gonna have to pay like 15 cents every time they say a slur now.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, weeaboos. Trump's tariffing anime. Get ready for Crunchyroll to cost like $50 a month, you fucking nerd. Enjoy that.
Luckily, none of that's going to happen. It's just not possible.
It is just very funny because there was a ton of memes from Trump's first presidency, like jokes about him banning anime.
Yeah.
And it took a while, but it's finally come true. Anime is banned.
Yeah.
Why don't you watch homegrown American cartoons?
But speaking of dumb ideas that the president came up with while taking a shit and then just immediately posting that to Truth Social, on the same day that we got the Hollywood tariffs, we also got this. Rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who would never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges that are afraid to do their job and allow us to remove criminals who came into our country illegally. The reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. We will make America great again.
Welcome to the Rock. Okay, first off, much like the memes about Trump banning anime managed to somehow manifest into reality, here's a Blue Sky post from back in January by Gary Alexander. Not saying anyone should, but I bet you could convince Trump to reopen Alcatraz in under 20 minutes.
Yeah, it seemed to have taken about 90 minutes because it looks like he just watched the Nicolas Cage movie, The Rock.
Well, maybe.
And that's why he did the Hollywood thing at the same time?
Yeah.
We don't make movies like this anymore.
We need to resurrect the bloated, drug-addled corpse of Don Simpson.
Yeah.
We used to, and you know what? I'm for it. I'm for it. He's a robot powered by cocaine who's going to make some fucking banger action movies in America.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that person predicted this a couple months ago. But then someone else found this post from just a random faceless ex-user just hours before Trump's announcement. President Trump, I have a suggestion. Renovate and reopen Alcatraz for illegals to give Tom Homan more space for these illegal monsters awaiting deportation. Just a thought. But hey, I mean, it's unlikely Trump even saw that post. Mm-hmm. What is more likely is Trump was flipping channels on the TV down at Mar-a-Lago and came across the local South Florida PBS affiliate WLRN 26, which played the 1979 classic Clint Eastwood movie Escape from Alcatraz on Saturday night and again on Sunday morning.
But then he also cut funding to PBS like 2 days later. Thanks for the idea. Yoink!
We're done.
Okay, bye-bye. Remember when Big Bird made fun of me? Okay, bye-bye.
Anyway, it's a stupid fucking idea for several reasons. And here's NBC Bay Area with a few of them.
If you've ever visited, you know this is a terrible idea.
I've never been, but I mean, like, I've seen what it looks like. It's not in good shape.
The rehabilitation that it would take to turn this into any kind of security prison again would be a price tag that is so astronomical.
Yeah. They shut it down for very valid reasons.
Yeah, it's also...
They shut it down a long time ago.
It's also extremely small compared to other federal prisons.
Yeah.
Anyways, here you go. Trump's directive to rebuild and reopen the long-shuttered penitentiary was the latest salvo in his effort to overhaul how and where federal prisoners and immigration detainees are locked up. But such a move would likely be an expensive and challenging proposition. The prison was closed in 1963 due to crumbling infrastructure and the high cost of repairing and supplying the island facility because everything from fuel to food had to be brought by boat. Bringing the facility up to modern-day standards would require massive investments at a time when the Bureau of Prisons has been shuttering prisons for similar infrastructure issues. Yeah, it's like you don't even think about getting things to and from on a daily basis.
They didn't even have a... they literally just dumped everyone's shit into the ocean, which you're not allowed to do anymore for obvious fucking reasons.
We're bringing it back.
But the museum that exists there now, they have to ferry everyone's septic on and off the island.
Wow.
Multiple times a week.
Also, Alcatraz has been operated, of course, as a museum by the National Park Service for nearly twice as long as it ever operated as a federal prison. And it only ever had capacity for around 300 inmates.
The worst of the worst.
And here's the Washington Post with even more reasons why this idea is dumb as fuck.
If prison structures were demolished and rebuilt, the government would face a legion of other challenges, since construction materials would need to be ferried to the island. A problem that would be compounded if the country is still battling high building costs associated with Trump's trade war. And then there's the problem of the ferrying itself. The only boats to Alcatraz currently leave from a city dock owned by the port of San Francisco. The port is overseen by a group of mayoral appointees who could spark a standoff with the federal government if they refuse to cooperate with Trump's changes. A spokesperson for the port did not respond to a request for comment. The Trump administration could also look to build a new dock elsewhere on the mainland, but options are limited. Before its closure, the prison used a pier at Fort Mason, now home to a thriving cultural center. In 2022, the pier burned down. Trump officials have argued that the president's proposal is real, feasible, and necessary. In an interview on Fox News, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller said Alcatraz would be easily refurbished and would hark back to a time when this country was strong.
This is all just complete bullshit. It's not going to happen.
Stupid. Yeah.
It's a fucking shit tossed out to be like, yeah, look, he's saying all the things that the old white people want him to say.
Yeah, it's the wall. It's the wall again.
Yep. Everyone remembers Alcatraz. Everyone remembers those cool old movies. And he's bringing that shit back. And all the movies are going to be great, too. Not to mention it's quite literally indigenous land.
That, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways.
I mean, all of it is.
We've got we've got more dumb bullshit to get to today, but we have to take a moment now to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Shopify. When we started this show, it seemed like we had to figure out pretty much everything on our own, because we did. Scripts, setup, filming, schedule, graphics, editing, the countless audio issues. It was super overwhelming, and every day seemed to introduce a new decision that needed an answer. Well, when you're starting off with something new, it seems like your to-do list keeps growing every day with new tasks, and that list can easily begin to overrun your life. Finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything can be such a game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify.
Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. Get started with your own design studio. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. Get word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into big money with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/itdaily. Go to shopify.com/itdaily. Shopify.com/itdaily.
This episode is also sponsored by Turtle Beach. You remember the time, that feeling, you booted up your favorite game for the first time? The late night sessions, the epic wins, the sounds of the lobby filling up with those friends. Gaming wasn't just something you did, it was a whole experience. And the right headset made all the difference. Turtle Beach is bringing that feeling back with the Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset. It's like stepping into the golden age of gaming all over again, only this time the audio is richer, the surround sound is more immersive, and the battery lasts an insane 80 hours. No more crackly mics, no more missed callouts, just pure, uninterrupted gaming exactly the way you remember it, but better. And for a limited time only, you can get 10% off your entire order with code TODAYDAILY at turtlebeach.com. Don't miss out. Stay cool. Level up your game with 10% off at turtlebeach.com using our promo code TODAYDAILY.
We've both been rocking this headset for a while now, and not only is it super comfortable, and not only does the sound quality definitely give you an edge, the battery life is insane. It's so nice having a wireless headset that you almost never have to think about charging. We all have that one friend whose headset always seems to die right when you're down to the last two teams, but Turtle Beach's Stealth 700 headset has an insane 80-hour battery life with quick charge, so you rarely have to think about charging it. And the Stealth 700 has the industry's first ever cross-play dual wireless transmitter system. That means you can seamlessly switch between your consoles and PC with just a click of a button. And it gets even better. While being connected to your console, the Stealth 700 can connect with your phone for music streaming or taking calls at the same time. Listen to your favorite songs while gaming, all done with the Stealth 700.
Turtle Beach doesn't just have amazing headsets, they have every gaming accessory that you could ever want, and they're all high quality at prices that don't break the bank. From flight and racing simulators to controllers, keyboards, and mice, Turtle Beach is the ultimate gaming cheat code. So head to turtlebeach.com and use code TODAYDAILY for 10% off your entire order. That is 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with our promo code TODAYDAILY. After your purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. So get the ultimate immersive gaming experience today with Turtle Beach.
Back to the news now. And at this point, you'd think there wouldn't be any more weird shit about our president left to find out about. But on Thursday, Rolling Stone published some hard-hitting investigative journalism looking into Donald Trump's apparently crippling candy addiction. The man's got quite the sweet tooth, it turns out. I mean, he's probably wearing dentures, so it's just one sweet mouth. He's got a sweet mouth.
How does he not have the sugar foot? And with all those spurs down there.
It's the good genes.
Yeah.
So here you go. He has also, in the words of one White House official, been consuming an insane amount of candy. Just so much candy. It is fairly common knowledge that Trump is such an avid guzzler of Diet Coke that he had a Diet Coke button installed on the Resolute desk in the White House's Oval Office. Something many of his voters and biggest fans might not even know about their favorite dictator on day one is that Trump, according to various current and former administration officials and campaign aides, as well as other informal advisors and friends, is a long-time, self-described candy addict. During both of his administrations and on his presidential campaigns, 7 sources attest Trump has ensured that there is plenty of candy surrounding him. In his 2 presidencies, he has had aides keep bowls or baskets filled with different types of candy. Tootsie Rolls, Reese's, caramels, Lifesavers, M&Ms, Starburst, Hershey's, Mars bars, Milky Ways, the works, around the West Wing. At times, there's a bowl or basket of candy right outside the Oval Office, and he'll summon close aides to bring it into the Oval whenever he has a craving.
Donnie hungry. Bring it in.
Getting upset, bring me my candy.
To his credit, he only eats like American candy, but to his detriment, it's the worst fucking chocolate.
I mean, yeah, like if you're as rich as he is and there's better options, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Get yourself
some Tony Chocolonely.
Tony Chocolonely is so good,
Yeah.
and it's widely available now.
Mm-hmm.
And,
but, they make sure to do things the right way, and so it costs a little more, and Trump actually doesn't like any of that. It's like he eats it, and it's like, it doesn't taste like vomit, like the good American stuff.
I want to hold it in my hand and not get chocolate all over my lips and hands.
Yeah, it's because they had to, spoil the milk so that it wouldn't go bad.
It is interesting. He's not a chocolate guy. He's just a sweets in general guy.
Yeah.
He likes the fruity stuff, the sour stuff.
He doesn't care. Put it all in the same bowl. I'll just dip my face in it.
Yeah. I wonder if, he's never been to a movie theater, but I wonder if he does that thing where he pours a bunch of candy into the popcorn and just eats it all together. Some people like that shit. I find it very strange.
Yeah, it is a little bit strange. Check yourself. It continues. The president, who describes himself as a lifelong teetotaler, at times jokingly refers to his candy as my alcohol, according to 3 of the sources. In summoning the candy during his 2 different stints in the White House, Trump has been known to shout things like, "Bring me the alcohol," or "Give me the alcohol." It's my little vice. For years, certain top aides assumed the rotating role of, in the words of 2 sources close to Trump, the candy people.
Where's my candy people?
Yeah, so that Trump can have fast, easy access to his treats. As president, Trump has made a point of making light of his candy habit while unwrapping and snacking on sweets to senior administration officials and other allies during any number of high-stakes policy meetings, including some that involve discussing potential bombing targets and military response plans or COVID-19 death tolls. 2 sources with direct knowledge of the matter say, "Ooh, a delicious Tootsie Roll."
Anyway, what are we talking about?
Give me 1 second. Oh. Some of these current and former Trump officials say that the president also sometimes stress eats his candy.
Just wrappers everywhere.
Whew! One former senior advisor recalls Trump eating an unusually big amount of candy during his months-long crusade to overturn the 2020 presidential election that he lost to Joe Biden. He eats a ton of candy. Another former senior Trump aide summarizes, "You wouldn't believe it."
I love it. Just all these people are just shocked at how much candy this one man can eat.
Yeah.
It's just one of his many amazing supernatural strengths as a president and just as a person in general. Is he's able to house way more candy than you or I. He's a candy eating machine.
He, in a different way, needs to be studied like Ozzy Osbourne.
I think so. Yeah.
It is bizarre. It's just strange. And I know that there was the rumors that he was on the Ozempic. He's looking a bit thicker now, but still, you would think with just such a sedentary lifestyle, and with how much he eats and drinks, I mean, he is big, but like,
yeah, he should have more health problems.
I think we can all agree on that.
I think, yeah. Here's more. On March 10th, weeks before Trump launched a massive new trade war on his so-called Liberation Day, the president met in the Oval Office with Art Laffer, a famous Reaganite economist who's been an informal advisor and friend to Trump for years. Laffer says it was an hour-long sit-down to discuss economic policy and a wide range of other topics. Laffer tells Rolling Stone that upon arriving in the Oval Office, as they were each sitting down at the resolute desk, the president asked him, "Do you like Tootsie Rolls?" At this time, Trump was brandishing what Laffer calls a big candy basket. It had a lot of stuff. He was digging in it. He recounts.
Every day's Halloween for old Donnie Trump. I got a big pillowcase with. You want some?
You think he used to steal his kids' candy?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
You gotta earn that candy.
It's the same thing. You get 2 pieces. Who needs 30 Milky Ways?
You gotta work for the candy.
Just like dolls.
Someday you'll be able to buy your own candy.
Mm-hmm.
He threw me 2 Tootsie Rolls, flipped them right across the desk. Trump also asked, "Oh, do you like Milk Duds?" before slipping the economist a tiny box of Milk Duds. Laffer says that later in the meeting, he somehow ended up with some caramels, though he can't be sure if or when the president slid those his way. He went to hug him and stuck them in his pocket.
Yeah.
Like a grandma.
Yeah. That's kind of sweet.
Yeah. He was eating candy too, of course, he says. It was very charming. He says to me, "You know, there are some people who are addicted to alcohol, but I'm addicted to candy." I said to him, jokingly, that I'm addicted to both. The president chuckled in response, Laffer notes.
So it is strange that like Trump obviously doesn't do alcohol for a couple reasons. Like his brother was an alcoholic who died young. He wants to be in control of situations, whatever. But he keeps specifically, and I think we'll get to it, he keeps hiring the drunkest motherfuckers to be put in positions of power.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously Pete Hegseth, who...
Well, that could be part of a power play too.
Then Jeanine Pirro.
Yeah, so
Judge Jeanine.
That was some late breaking news. He apparently wants her to be like the district judge of Washington, D.C. or some shit. Because the previous one, not going to make the cut.
No.
He's also like, I didn't even get to the nominations in this, but the nominee for Surgeon General is a fucking nut job.
Yeah.
Who even RFK Jr.'s fans, who you think would be into it, are just like, yeah, no, she's a little too crazy.
Also, I saw earlier this week that like I would assume that this would be the case because of RFK Jr., but that there won't be updates to the vaccines this year, like specifically for COVID.
Guess I'm going to Mexico.
Yeah.
For my booster.
Yeah. Anyways, since this is our last or our only video this week, so yeah.
Last and only.
We might as well close things out with some weird news headlines to hold everyone over in the absence.
Yeah, weird news headlines and also just shit we didn't get to.
Yeah, we were in DC this week. It was a great time hanging out with friends and stuff like that. But
I felt uncomfortable the whole time knowing that knowing how close I was to
the levers of power,
to the action.
Yeah, no, it was
a deeply evil place. It emanates evil.
Yeah, I had a fun time.
Yeah,
but
it was fun.
Yeah, here's some headlines to hold you over until we're back full on next week. Starting with,
is Pope Leo XIV a Cubs fan? Robert Prevost's brother denies team's claim. Says he roots for White Sox.
Yeah, and
this was a little subplot. Like the Cubs, they put it up on their big marquee. They're like, he's a Cubs fan, folks. And then
it's from the South Side.
Yeah, well. I believe South is Cubs, but
South Side's Chicago White Sox, buddy.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, his brother set the record straight. He's like, he has never supported the Cubs. He's always been a Sox fan.
The Chicago Sun-Times got a picture of him at some ball games. Everyone's having fun with the new Pope.
Yeah,
the American Pope,
the Chicago Pope. That's the Chicago Pope. Some of my favorite jokes, actually, I didn't do them, but it was like Chicago Pope sounds like a show that Jack Donaghy would pitch on 30 Rock.
Yeah, I am hoping that first of all, bless the Sox because they really need it. He can bless the Sox, but also things looking good for the old JB Pritzker 2028, baby.
Yeah, the Great Lakes century is about to begin.
Yeah. The Midwest will rise again, just not in the way that Donald Trump wants it to.
There were also a lot of really baseball-specific jokes about the Cardinals, because the Cardinals at the Vatican elect the Pope, but also the Cardinals are one of the rivals of a lot of the Chicago teams. So it was there's a lot. There's so many layers to it. Yeah. But we got a Chicago Pope, folks.
Author of Texas bill to ban furries in schools cannot come up with examples of it happening. And that's because there isn't.
Yeah, there aren't any.
We've been over this multiple times. It's, I guess, good that this bill author is finally coming to sense with reality. And
I don't think he is. He was at some like education officials council where he's proposing all this, and they're just like, so what do you got? And he's like, well, you'll see that I inquired about it and they're like, yeah, we didn't fucking find anything. What do you got?
Yeah, but like this is to prevent it from happening because it's definitely gonna. So
God, everything's so fucking dumb. They're not doing it. We would have heard about it if they were doing it. Everyone's got phones now.
yeah.
Pete Hegseth, there he is, had at least 12 Signal chats for Pentagon business, according to reports.
He just couldn't get enough.
He likes to text.
Yeah, he's a big texter.
I used Signal for the first time this past weekend, and doesn't seem. If I was talking about super top secret stuff, I don't think I'd be using that.
It's literally a group chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
It's only as encrypted as the person whose phone it's on.
Or if you are, in the case of these fucking dum-dums, using a like third-party Telegram or Signal like
Clone?
client thing, is not fucking secured at all because TM Signal, the Signal that they were using, got hacked a few days ago, and I don't think they found any Hegseth stuff, but they're like, it could have.
Yeah. Well, anyone who has
sketch.
access to those chats, you could screenshot it.
Yeah. It was interesting though, because that version of Signal actually is specifically designed for like compliance with record keeping.
Oh. Which is what they didn't want to happen.
Yeah, but it does it all through like third-party servers and stuff. So it's just more links in the chain.
We love
that
links
can
in
be
the chain.
hacked.
Especially when you're a top government official who loves my lord. He can't drink it anymore. No. Not with that woke pope drinking it. But anyways.
What does Pete? His thing was like
It's gotta be
gin and
whiskey.
tonics, I think. I think when they first started coming out, it was like G&Ts. Be pounding those in the morning.
Sure. He should start drinking whiskey if he wants to be all big and manly. That's his thing. So
And he drinks the G&Ts because it's low calorie.
yeah. And he has to get his makeup done.
Yeah.
Mr. President, a second fighter jet crashes into the sea after landing failure on USS Harry S. Truman.
Yeah, that's $60 million.
Yeah.
Just in the sea. The whales have jets now. But it is wild. Like Pete Hegseth, it's all he's talking about is the woke DAAA and shit. They're just like dumping $60 million jets into the ocean.
Well, just think about
whatever.
like
who cares?
the Doge savings, or just if you want like even a basic level, just think about how much $60 million. Actually, there was like each, so 110 or 120 million dollars total.
It puts in perspective. It's like how many
school lunches?
How many park rangers like salaries would that pay in a year?
Yeah, how much infrastructure could, like, even for a small town, or how many school lunches?
We have the money.
Yeah, we have the
We
means.
just don't want to spend it on actual shit that helps people.
Exactly.
We want to spend it on jets that we send to the bottom of the ocean.
AI of dead Arizona road rage victim addresses killer in court. Oh.
Yeah, this one, first, the headline.
And the judge like loved it.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. The family seemed very like happy about it, but the whole thing, I'm just like, you guys know this isn't actually. This isn't your family member.
Everyone
this is
is-
a weird. The video itself is like really unconvincing. It seems like if I knew this guy, it would be upsetting to me more than anything else.
Yes.
It's really like it doesn't feel real.
I'm sure everyone. I know everyone grieves in different ways, but I cannot imagine someone who would want to see an AI recreation.
Well, this is like when Kanye paid for like an AI hologram of Kim Kardashian's dad to like wish her happy birthday, and I mean,
and talk about how good Kanye was.
Yeah, but they put like words in this dead guy's mouth, being like, "I forgive you. I'm a forgiving person." I'm like, I don't know.
I'd be pretty pissed.
I'd be pretty upset.
Yeah.
And and the judge is like, "That was beautiful." And like, I don't know. I feel
Shut
like
up.
this shouldn't even be like admissible in court. I mean, in the video, like the fake dead guy is very clear. He's like, just to be clear, this isn't actually me. This is AI.
Did they have to put that on?
I think so, because otherwise, it's like, I don't know. If I was the defense, I'd be like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, get this out of here,
bro. What the hell?
Based on every other AI story I've heard in my entire life, I have to assume that someone from the family or the judge is somehow connected to an AI company.
Yeah, maybe we'll find more out about this, but it's
it's gross. I know the family did it, but like, Come on. Yeah.
American tourist climbs over fence at Coliseum, impales himself on spike.
Apparently, it was a very traumatic thing to witness.
Yeah, I guess it was like a fence, a spiked fence. And I guess it didn't go through any like major organs.
He lived. So...
I mean, he was there. It sounds like so he fell a distance onto impaled himself and was just like screaming bloody murder and then passed out and was just like bleeding everywhere in front of like hundreds of tourists. Yeah. And then, like, even getting him off of it, they didn't know how to do it because it's Americans. He probably weighed like 400 pounds, and they're like, we don't know what to do with the body. It's a big. Yeah, I guess he's fine now, but or not
fine.
He lived. They were able to patch him up, but I mean, yeah, maybe this is the sacrifice that God needed to see before allowing an American pope.
That's true.
God giveth and God taketh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to sacrifice one American tourist for this to happen.
Yeah. And they found a loophole.
Yeah.
He only died for a little bit. Yeah. Man sets his own house on fire twice in one night to watch firefighters work. Yeah. Nothing but respect.
The second
my
time,
heroes.
The second time kind of gave it away.
Yeah.
They're like, because the first time it was like, oh, okay, it must have been an electrical fire. They turned the electricity off. They didn't turn it back on. They came back a while later and they're like, oh, how did this? He's like, probably electrical.
Probably a ghost.
Must have been a ghost. Anyway, I'll let you guys work. And he was like filming them. And then in court, it came out like he's called the fire department like 80 times in the past year. Never usually for fires, but he really likes watching the firefighters work. He doesn't have an arson fetish. He has a firefighter fetish.
He should volunteer or something.
Well, but that's not happening anymore.
Well, no, he's ruined it. But
yeah, blew it.
Yeah. Kansas man stole 800-pound historic cannon to pay drug debt, police say.
Yeah, it's a cannon from like the Spanish-American War, I think. Real like
cool cannon.
Historic. Yeah, well, they don't exist anymore because he needed to pay off his drug debt, and he took that home. It was very hard, but he did it, and then he chopped it up with a saw. And then the drug dealer that he owed money to was like, "You fucking idiot! I'm gonna kill you.
You shouldn't have chopped it up, and now it doesn't work."
Yeah, well, anyway.
Pretty crazy for someone to be like, because the conversation must have been weird. Like, hold on, I know I have a lot of drug debt, but I swear I have like an actual historical artifact.
I mean, if it was an artifact, I feel like it would have more value than just melted metal.
Well, rational in the hands of drug user and dealer.
There's been a few statues in LA, like cool ones, that have just been straight up stolen to like be melted down. And I'm just like, God, it's so fucking wasteful.
We need more bullets.
Really upset. We need more bullets. We do. Ohio police find raccoon with meth pipe in its mouth during arrest. They call him Methy the squirrel. Methy the raccoon.
They'll do that. They'll do anything.
Yeah, they pulled over this lady because she had like outstanding warrants or some shit. And they were just going to take her in for that. But then when they went over back to the car, they saw a raccoon. I guess it was her pet raccoon. And it was sitting in the driver's seat holding a crack pipe. As if to smoke it, like with its mouth on it.
Yeah, she like used it as a patsy.
And they were like, well, maybe we should check the car. And they found a lot more where that came. I don't think they found any more raccoons, but they found other stuff.
With the implication the raccoon was smoking the crack pipe, you could assume that everything else that was illegal within the car was the raccoon.
Yeah, that's not mine. That's the raccoon's.
Yeah, we've been trying to get him help.
I want to see the raccoon operate a lighter.
Yeah.
I feel like
actually, officer, I was driving the raccoon to the rehab center right now.
Yeah.
I was going to kick his ass out of the house and into rehab.
I said, one more chance. You get one more chance, Mr. Raccoon.
And then he's pulled that pipe out again, and luckily you were here.
Yeah.
And you pulled me over, so thank you for your service.
Am I free to go?
I am free to go.
Am I being detained?
You can take the raccoon if you want to keep driving.
Take him to raccoon jail.
That's right. All right, that was a lot. There's obviously we missed a bunch of stuff from this week because we weren't here. But we'll be back next week for a normal schedule. Thank you for, of course, bearing with us as we sometimes have time off. But please make sure you like the video so that, you take any time off YouTube, things go bad. Like the video, make sure we're in the algorithm, leave a comment, talk about anything that happened to you this week or anything we mentioned on the video. And of course, if you want to support the show, make sure you're subscribed or click the join button. Whatever you want to do helps. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.